Welcome to Double Fries No Slaw. It is May 23rd, Sunday evening. Myself, TJ Pittenger, alongside Richie Barnes, back with you guys for another episode. Thank you guys for hanging out. We appreciate it as always. Richie, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, TJ, man. Pretty busy weekend. Just had a really good finish at Kiowa Island at the PGA Championship. Unfortunately, our guy Brooks came up just short, but pretty awesome to see a 50-year-old Phil Mickelson win a major and become the oldest player to ever do so.
Yeah, I mean, most people right on our timelines and things were cheering for Brooks to get it done. Just couldn't get things going today. Richie has been recapping the tournament and how Brooks has been doing on doublefriesnoslaw.com. So you can go check out some recaps there, but just couldn't get it going. But it was a cool moment for Phil. The scene there was fantastic at the end with all the and they couldn't even get through the crowd, all the fans and stuff, the excitement of full capacity and getting people back and all of those fun things, life getting back to normal and sports returning. So ton of fun there, but yeah, good weekend. Glad to be with you guys. We'll be somewhat quick tonight, but won't keep you super long. A lot to get to. Double Fries No Slaw brought to you as always by Guthrie's in Tallahassee. You can visit both of their locations, 2550 North Monroe and 1818 West Tennessee Street. Make sure to get your box Double Fries No Slaw. Make sure you tell them that we sent you. I saw Harrison over at Guthrie's the other day in Tallahassee. I'm not sure what he was doing up there in Tallahassee, but in Tallahassee, maybe driving home, but back down to South Florida, and saw that they still have our sticker in the window, so they haven't quit us just yet. So shout out Guthrie's. Get your gut box, Double Fries, again, no slaw. Richie, an eventful weekend, a ton of stuff going on. We will, as we normally do, start with football. Got some news about the opening game of the year. We've talked a lot about the schedule, a lot about different things going on. Talk to us about this Notre Dame game that we've got coming up.
Yeah, so we had a really good idea it was going to be that Sunday night. But, the ESPN, ABC, they like to, get ahead of things and release the first kickoff times and what channel everyone's playing on for the opening weekend, kind of build that hype because we're right around that 100 days out right now. And, no surprise, Florida State Notre Dame Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. in Doak Campbell Stadium, full capacity on ABC. I'm excited. I'm getting some PTSD Virginia Tech vibes as well. I'm not sure which way to go with this, but really cool that we will be opening on prime time. And I know Mike Norvell is making an emphasis on this game as far as official visits. He's rolling the dice, man. He said, I know we're 9-point dogs, but he's trying to make this a huge official visit weekend with the extra day with the holiday, having Monday off there, allowing recruits to travel. No one else playing that Sunday. I think it's a really smart move, but you got to perform well. But what are your thoughts seeing it, Doak prime time national television again?
I mean, it's exciting, right? And this is what we have known for our entire lives is Florida State being primetime, focus, center of attention. And, we really haven't played or deserved to be in that spot for the last couple of years. Hopefully we are heading back there. But, yeah, I mean, this is what you want, man. This is, you want to be the national game. You want to be primetime. You want to be able to tailgate all day. Man, you want to be able to play at night in September because it's so freaking hot. But it's exciting, right? And Notre Dame is a 9-point favorite. Isn't the worst, right? Weren't they like a 26-point favorite or something last year, or 24? It was high, right?
Yeah, I forget the number, but it was definitely up there.
Maybe it was 20 or 18, and we ended up losing by 16. So we covered, but
I think it was 18.5, which is still a big number, 3 scores.
Yeah. So some improvement there, right? I'm not trying to overhype things too much, but you talk about a 9-point spread. They're saying that Florida State's going to be in that game. Now, obviously, we have to show up and show out, but I want to be in some games. I want to win some games this year. So a little bit of excitement around it. Excited to get back up to Tallahassee. I don't know that I'll get back up there before Labor Day weekend. Just don't know if a ton is going on, but excited to get back up there for that. And so 7:30 on ABC. I couldn't imagine not playing in prime time on the opening weekend. Some brands just aren't the same as ours, even after 3-win season. Florida State playing in prime time. Other teams just not on that level. The logo is just not the same. So anyway, somebody that may help in that game. Florida State currently in the market for an offensive line transfer. Actually, as of this recording, as of the fact that we're talking, it seems that we are going to get Kane Madden on campus for a visit as soon as the dead period is over. That will be, I believe, his first visit, which a lot of people are saying is really, really important for us, or just whomever gets his first visit is potentially the place he's going to go. You always want to kind of get in and make that impression right away. All-American at Marshall, expected to be pretty tough to pull in, but again, big getting the visit first. What are your thoughts there, Richie?
Yeah, he's another interior guy, which I'm fine with because that gives you flexibility. Obviously, we'd love an offensive tackle, but the odds of an All-American hitting the portal at this point in the year, and I think he spent 5 years at Marshall, so he just wants to have one last chance. He's got a lot of big names coming after him. Florida State, luckily, we have the scholarships in a major need at offensive line. Alex Atkins, his reputation is really blowing up in front of us. It's funny this week, when, by the way, first of all, Kane Madden, what a great football name. Like you tell me a guy his name is Kane Madden. I'm like, that's a football offensive lineman. So I love that. But it was really cool. Did you see last night that the hashtag Kane Madden to tally was trending nationwide on Twitter? We've had current players, Mackenzie Milton, Amari Gaynor, Josh Burrell, a few others, and then a bunch of fans retweeting that and using that hashtag so much that I know it was a slow Saturday night in America, given the times we're in. Still pretty wild that it was a trending topic nationally.
Yeah, it was crazy to see who all was tweeting it and retweeting it and just throwing it out there. And I don't know. I mean, it's good for there to be excitement around something, right? Last year, just in general, not even like sports related or FSU related, but last year has been a drag. Last few sports years in Tallahassee haven't been great on the gridiron. So cool that there's some excitement around it. And recruits take notice of that, right? Like everybody loves to be loved and everybody loves to be sought after and things like that. So anyway, it was cool to see it going. We tweeted get Kane Madden to Guthrie's, which I thought was more our brand. We don't go so far into recruiting, so but I can recruit somebody to go get chicken tenders. But go ahead,
and it'll be interesting to see, because the name, image, and likeness is here in Florida. At least it's a go. Wonder if Coach Norvell and the recruiting team will say something like this. Hey, our fan base had your name trending nationally on Twitter. You can get paid off that now, off your name, image, and likeness. It's a lot like what the PGA is doing, where they have this $40 million set aside for the people that move to the needle with social media engagement. Florida State fans showing, hey, we can get that done. And it'll be interesting to see, if it means anything to the recruits. And if it does, do the coaches use it? Because this is all brand new. So just a lot of interesting things going on in this one major story for Florida State.
Yeah, I think that with this whole NIL, this whole name, image and likeness thing, you've got to find every aspect to take kind of an advantage of that, right? You've got to be able to be innovative, like Florida State has done with their Apex program. You've got to find a way to be cutting edge. You've got to find a way to be different, set yourself apart, because eventually every state, and the ones that we compete against, certainly, right? Florida, Miami seems in the state here. Every state is eventually going to get this. And so you're not going to have that like head start that you always had. And the teams that do things well are going to do this well too. Right. So it's how can we continue to do this well? How can we set ourselves apart? And, eventually everything just kind of comes down to everybody catches up. But to start it, like you said, yeah, be innovative. Talk to the kids about how, look, we got your name trending on Twitter. If you're making money off of that, if you're getting follows and retweets and people know who you are, it ends up being massive. So I believe he's coming in the last weekend of May, right? Or is it the first weekend of June? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, so June 1st. The dead period ends May 31st, so he'll be here on the very first day. It sounds like Virginia Tech and Auburn are also trying to set up officials with him, but the fact that he's been so active, he's followed a lot of current Florida State players and coaches. Florida State's going to be as a first official. It's his last year in college, most likely. I think he has 2 available, but most people see him going to the NFL next year. So getting him on here first and hopefully get him to shut things down, just impress him on the visit, show him everything Florida State has to offer and see if you can get him to commit and enroll. Because at that point, at the second he commits, I would assume he's enrolling in whatever school he commits to, within a week of making that commitment. You
talked about this. You talked about some of the players, recruits, coaches, players that are on the team, McKenzie, Amari, different guys like kind of petitioning for him or joining the hashtag, joining in, like wanting him to come to Twitter. And so it's all part of the recruiting pitch, right? You're trying to get guys in. What are your thoughts on that? On the, we kind of started to talk about it off air, but I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on, what are your thoughts on that with like current players? Like we've often seen recruits be like kind of a bell cow of a class and try and recruit guys in, but this transfer portal, it's so different that you really truly do have current players, active players on your roster, trying to recruit these guys to come. What are your thoughts around it?
I mean, I like it. I think it's probably a situation where Coach Norvell and the staff are kind of getting the ears of certain current players and saying, hey, this guy's in the portal. He's going to make us better. I'd suggest showing him some love on social media or whatever it may look like. It's an interesting dynamic when you get to the current roster because you have Mackenzie Milton, potentially the starting quarterback who transferred in just recently, doesn't know a lot of the players real well. And you got to think, what does a guy like, a Dante Lucas or another offensive lineman think when they see people like Mackenzie Milton and then Josh Burrell and on the other side of the ball, Amari Gaynor openly recruiting this guy to come here? And if he comes, great. But if not, you have to wonder, does a Dante Lucas or someone else think, man, like you were trying to get my replacement in here? And I'm not saying that's the case at all, but it's just an interesting dynamic that, again, with the transfer portal, college football is changing every single year. It's something that, some people probably keep an eye on and say, hey, all right, don't forget I'm here now. Yeah, we want some help, but I like having a better chance at me getting a starting job.
Yeah, for sure. I think there definitely is the potential exists that, that kind of can create an awkward situation or two. Richie and I were talking before the pod. I didn't see very many offensive linemen tweeting K9 mentality.
A lot of skilled players and defensive guys.
Yeah, because that he's coming to take their job, right? If he does, or takes someone's job, if he ends up winning out, which it would be expected he does. I think that a position, and we talked about this too, I think that at a position where you do need a lot of depth and you do have multiple rotations, and man, we haven't been healthy on that offensive line since Jameis was here, right? No. And so, it's not like those guys wouldn't all still get burned if they kind of play well. But at the end of the day, this isn't about people's feelings, and this isn't about, avoiding awkward situations. It's about winning football games, right?
Yeah.
And so,
and if I'm Coach Norvell or Coach Atkins, I think this is an easy sell because you were kind of given a gift earlier this week. Offensive lineman Chaz Neal announced he's entering the transfer portal. Now, I think most of us realize he was probably never going to play meaningful down at Florida State again. And if he did, that would not be a good thing for the program. But it's an easy sell. Say, hey, we lost one. We got to bring one back in to, balance out the numbers. So at least he does have that kind of working in his favor. Whether the players believe it or not, I'm not sure. But that seems like the easy pivot from, where we are right now.
Yeah. And like you said, any position really, and we did take a transfer at quarterback. So even that's not, the most accurate, but I was gonna say, like, any position other than quarterback, you're needing a ton of depth in college football. You can't get by with just your starters, right? So that, I don't know, it shouldn't be too big of a deal with this one. But yeah, like if your whole team was like out there recruiting real hard for a quarterback and then we don't end up getting that quarterback, it's kind of awkward for the for the backup later, right? Like the guys that he's got to throw passes to and everything else, or block for him and whatever. But I think with offensive line, we're pretty good. So we're not that we're good. We're good in that situation of not stepping on toes or hurting anybody's feelings. Some other news, Florida State has been kind of running around the state over the last few weeks. We may actually do an article on this, and then I want to talk about the website just quickly before we kind of go around the horn and get to some other stuff. But Florida State's been running around the state doing youth camps kind of all over. They were Ed told me, it'd be great if we could get out to one of these. And we were in our group chat, and Ed's like, it'd be great if we could get out to one of these and see what's going on and go hang out and things like that. And I was like, okay, cool. When are they coming to Tampa? He's like, oh, they were in Tampa today. Sorry, you're out of luck. So, which was, I guess, yesterday in the chat. But running around everywhere to camp. You've seen him with former players. I saw him out with James Wilder Jr. the other day. They were down in South Florida a couple of weeks ago. We've talked about these camps, but really getting out and just seeing different kids around the state and making themselves available and just, I don't know, pounding the pavement. I think that because of the pandemic, I don't know that this goes on forever. We spoke with Newberg about this, but I continue to be impressed with the job that our staff is doing, kind of getting around the state, getting to these camps, working with these kids, and like I said, just making themselves known, all around the state, because it's sorely needed. Any thoughts on the camps that we haven't discussed? Kind of put you on the spot there. We didn't include that in the rundown.
Yeah, well, and we've touched on it, and I just think it's a great idea because you do have a staff that's pretty much entirely they don't have any Florida ties. Obviously, bringing in Ryan Bartwin was huge, and he's been instrumental in helping to forge those relationships with 7-on-7 and high school coaches across the state. High school coaches are not allowed to interact with Florida State's coaches at these youth camps. But the good thing, a lot of these 7-on-7 coaches can, and they're the ones that are often, when a kid wants to take on an official, they need to get a ride up somewhere. They're the ones who take them. Obviously no high school players are allowed at these youth camps. It's 8th grade and below. So, if you tell me any coach in the country other than Saban, do you think he'll be here in 5 years? The odds are he won't be. Some of them will, but you don't know that. But it's good to see he's willing to put in that work right now. Speaking of Coach Norvell, with no certainty that he'll still be here in 5 years. A lot can change in college football, but he's laying a foundation that if he still is here from 5 years from now, that's going to be a really good sign. And I think, a lot of those questions with about relationships with high school coaches in Florida, those questions will go away because, again, if he's still here in 5 years, he's done a good job of getting those players here and developing those relationships.
Yeah, the average lifespan of a coach is much less than that. So making it to 5 would be awesome. And then obviously above that, making it past just that number. Hey, I think we talked about it last week. We had just started it. I think we're 1 week or 2 weeks into this, but we started a website just to kind of get some takes off, get some thoughts off. We're still not going super deep into recruiting. We're still not going super deep into like transfer portal or X's and O's and things like that, but just kind of a place where we could get some takes off through the week, through the middle of the week when we're not doing shows. Much easier for Richie, myself, Ed Kennedy, Harlan, Dustin, or Mike to just throw up an article with some thoughts. Dustin did a really good one on Patrick Williams's rookie season, the impact that he's had. Like I said, Richie has recapped all of the 4 days at the PGA Championship from the perspective of Brooks. I've done some different stuff on softball. Harlan's done some baseball stuff. I kind of did something for women's tennis too. So just trying to kind of keep you guys updated on where we are when we're not on here, when we're not on the show. So doublefriesnoslaw.com. There's a link at the top that just says news on the Noles, and you can check all that out. Ed Kennedy has a 2 weekly things that he does. One being just previewing what's coming up. It drops on Thursday morning, previewing what's coming up for Florida State in the week of sports that is again, upcoming. Most sports start like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So previews it. And then on Monday morning, a recap drops. So when you're listening to this, or if you're watching it live right now, a recap will drop tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. from Double Fries No Slaw. Just kind of recapping the weekend. Softball played, baseball played, track and field. Like there was a bunch of stuff going on. So he kind of recaps it all for you in one neat spot. He also, the last thing I'll say about the website, he also has something coming out tomorrow morning that it's in the drafts right now. I'm super excited for it to drop. Just kind of waiting until the week to do it. But it's on the Climb series that Florida State did, which was fantastic. If you haven't watched it, you have to sign up to be a booster to do so. So go to boosters.fsu.edu and check it out. But Ed has an article coming out on the Climb series that Seminole Boosters put out, which was absolutely a fantastic series. Great look behind the curtain, peek behind the curtain. And then Ed's article really breaks it down and talks about it well in depth, some of the results from it, some of the things that kind of came out. 7-part series, really, really cool. Go sign up to be a booster today if you have not already. Richie, I didn't talk to you about this either, but I want you to mention it. You're wearing your golf polo anyway, or your golf shirt anyway, and you watched the PGA Championship. Talk to us about your podcast that you started last week, first episode. Par 4 podcast, newest pod on the Big 3 Roll Up Network. Talk to us about it, where people can find it, what you're doing on there, and let's plug that real quick.
Yeah, the one thing the network has been missing for a while now is a golf podcast. So, myself, Carp, who's on Storm Surge, the Miami podcast, Jackson, he does, a gambling podcast for the network. He's a big Gator guy. And then Cam's our producer, who also produces Stadium and Gale. We started a golf podcast last week. We had Gary Sheffield Jr., really good interview. Talks about how he transitioned from, chasing a dream to be a professional baseball player. He was actually in junior college, committed to play baseball for 11 at Florida State, and unfortunately took a pitch to the face his last year in junior college, ended his career. That's how he kind of got into golf. But it's Par 4 Pod at everything on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. That's PARFORE as in golf. We'll definitely be recapping Brooks and his run that he just had on this week's episode, Talk Phil as well. But it's really just like casual guys talking about golf. Kind of, you just finish up a round of golf with your friends on the weekend. You go to the bar, have a few drinks, and you're talking about it. That's really all we're going for there. So definitely tune in if you get a chance. We'd love to have you all check it out.
Who's the best golfer out of you four?
Jackson by far is probably the best one. He's the only one on the pod that can consistently shoot in the 70s. I'm typically a mid to high 80s, low 90s guy. Carps and Cam are trying to break 100. So we really are your casual golfers that we shoot all over the place, your typical foursome. But yeah, Jackson's definitely the big one. He actually, coming up in a few weeks, we have the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. Jackson played there 2 weeks ago, so it'll be cool to get his insight on that course.
Yeah, no doubt. A bunch of guys that are, like you said, associated with the Big 3 Roll Up Network, and exciting stuff. No, good stuff with that pod. Great first guest with Sheffield on, and then this week again we'll have some really good recap on the PGA Championship. Brooks in that, not only Brooks, but heard about Lefty winning at 50 years old, nearly 51. Let's go around the horn on. Oh, well, speaking of golf, we'll do these out of order. FSU golf was killer this week. Now, this happened right after we recorded the pod. So we did the pod Sunday night, and then this happened Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So the Tallahassee Regional took place, and Florida State's men's golf team was just out of their minds good. Just absolutely incredible. Finished at 34 under par. The next closest team, was it 17 under par? Is that what?
Yeah, Georgia at 17 under.
Georgia was 17 under. Shout out Liberty, who finished 15 under in fourth. My alma mater. So Florida State just went absolutely berserk and bonkers in this regional. Some of the other top teams in the country, you look at Oklahoma, finished 13 shots back of the leaders in the Albuquerque Regional. Clemson, who we lost to, finished 15 shots back of the leaders in their regional. Florida State, obviously, with the advantage of playing at home, but just absolutely crushed things, and no pun intended, beat the field and lapped them a couple of times. They will begin the NCAA championships this weekend coming up. I believe it starts Friday. I could be wrong on that, but I believe it starts Friday. Did you follow along? Did you watch that? Did you just kind of catch the golf stat? Were you able to see any of it?
Yeah, I was able to catch the golf stat, which is nice because they do a pretty good job of updating the scores in real time, and obviously all the content that FSU golf that at FSU golf on Twitter put out, they did a great job. But yeah, like you said, 34 under. Georgia was 17 under. To put in perspective, Florida State was 17 under after the first day, so they could have skipped the last 36 holes and not have been passed by anyone else in the field. Just a great performance. It was actually a graduate transfer, Vincent Norman. He finished with a 369 on the last one. I think he led all Knowles with scoring. Senior John Pock, again, very solid 67, 72, 69 for him. 8 under to finish 4th place. So Florida State had 2 of the top 4 golfers on the week. Course familiarity helps a lot. Anybody who plays knows that, your home course, you're going to be better, especially when people don't know all the nuances of the course, but that's still a ridiculous number to just lap the field by that much. Trey Jones has had a lot of good golfers. We talked about Brooks Koepka, Daniel Berger, Jonas Blix is on the tour still. He's never had a team this deep 1-5 led by John Pock. I think they have a real chance to win a national championship. So it'll be a lot of fun. The finals in Arizona should be on TV, or at least on, streaming somewhere. So I'll definitely try and check out as much of that as I can.
Yeah, this weekend, so should be a ton of fun to follow those guys and to check them out. I know that we've had Coach Jones on the pod before, working on getting him back on. So super excited for those guys to hopefully go out and bring a natty home. A couple of sports wrapped up their seasons. Women's tennis, which we talked with Coach Hyde last Sunday. They ended up falling to Texas on Wednesday in the Elite Eight. They lost the doubles point, which we talked to you guys about, and then they ended up losing in singles as well. But a great season for them. Hats off to them, making the Elite Eight and then losing to the eventual national champion Texas Longhorns. Nothing to lose sleep about. Soccer was a devastating loss in penalties. Obviously finishing second by losing the national championship game. Had the game essentially won. Bad turnover with 5 or 6 minutes to go. Let Santa Clara score, and then we hit the crossbar, hit the post in overtime, but ended up going to penalties where we had won 2 games before, but could not end up getting it done there. I'm still heartbroken about it. We were at the my kids have been sick this week. I've been sick. I'm congested and everything else. But we were at the pediatrician's office with my kids on like Monday night, and I'm like watching it on my phone. My wife's like, we were at that, and I was like, we're just sitting in the way. We're just waiting. It's like so I'm just like, it's all right. So anyway, my phone dies. Like as it's going to penalties, I'm texting these guys like somebody tweet from the pod. So anyway, ended up losing that one, which stunk, but they'll rebound. I mean, Kokori and them they're such a dynasty. They'll be back next year for sure. Softball, we'll get to baseball last, but softball ended up winning their regional. They beat Kennesaw State on Friday. Then they beat UCF yesterday. Then UCF beat Kennesaw State to advance to the championship Sunday. Florida State needing to beat Florida State twice to win it, but they weren't able to even win once. Florida State ends up winning today 2-0 against UCF to go to super regionals. We've had Coach A on. We were trying to get her back on tonight, just couldn't make it happen, but we've had her on in the past. She's great, and what they're doing over there at FSU softball is fantastic. They will take on LSU in Baton Rouge this weekend. For those not familiar, super regionals is essentially a best of 3 series. You win 2 and you go to Oklahoma City. It works just like baseball, except they go to Omaha when they win 2. So good luck to them, and hopefully they can make it back to OKC. LSU's good. I mean, I'd rather go there though than UF. So hopefully we can beat LSU and go to back to Oklahoma City. LSU is the team we played the last time that we went in when we won it in 2018. So other than that, Harlan, can you come in here for a minute? Baseball played NC State this weekend, dropped 2 of 3, played really, really well. Both losses one was pretty frustrating with the umps, but played them close both games that we lost. Actually had big comebacks in really all 3 games, but big comebacks in both games, but just couldn't hold on. I think got walked off on Thursday night, and then Friday couldn't complete the comeback either. But did end up winning Sunday, and then got the 5 seed in the ACC tournament, which the ACC tournament is weird, guys. If you've never, I mean, you guys know this, but if you're watching this or listening to this, the ACC tournament is super weird. It's like pod play. So I think, actually, you know what, Harlan, if you talk about it, I can pull up the picture and show people while you're talking about it. So I'll shut up and let you talk about
what you got 4 top seeds, and they're pods of 3 teams. And if you go 1-1 and everyone in your pod goes 1-1, the highest seed advances. So the big loss this past weekend for FSU is they're now a 5 seed. So they cannot go 1-1 in advance. They have to beat Duke and Miami to advance in the ACC championship. And they played 11 a.m. on Wednesday and then 3 p.m. on Friday.
Wasn't able to find the picture that I was looking for. I did find one, but it wasn't the right one. So most people are listening anyway, so it's all good. But we hit several. Well, anyway, I don't have to tell you guys our numbers, but we do really well on the listens. People aren't visual, I guess. They don't want to look at me and Richie. But yeah, it's gonna be tough. I think the pod play is stupid because of that very reason. Playing that, splitting with everybody, and then the highest seed just advancing. Like, I don't know who thinks of this. I mean, obviously does the SEC do the same thing, or do they just play a regular tournament?
I'm pretty sure the SEC just plays a regular tournament.
Yeah, of course. I don't know why the ACC has to be so difficult about everything, but this loser blood mentality of like everybody gets a trophy. If you were the highest seed, you just automatically move on. Like, that's the dumbest thing that I've ever heard in my life. Like, what is that? I remember, was it 2 years ago or 3? It burned Florida State. The 3 teams went 1-1, and we were the 2 seed. And so it just didn't. I don't know. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Let me go back and look at these. Hunter, we're not taking any comments from you tonight. We needed you guys to lose that game. You guys would have been fine still if you'd have lost one to us, because you guys are the 3 seed, so you guys would have been fine. So,
and Harlan, how close were we to winning? Because I'm not going to sit here and lie and act like I watched all these games. I had a really busy weekend, but I'm following along on Twitter. And Friday we hit a grand slam to tie it up, and then we get walked off. And then on Saturday it was another couple games that they say every sport, that people, it's a cliche, it's a game of inches, but it really was this weekend for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really it was baseball. Everything went their way those first 2 days. I mean, you had a player on NC State square around a bunt and have his foot on the plate. The ball hit him. They send him to first. Mike challenges it, but you can't challenge someone stepping out of the box. So he still got first. That ended up being the go-ahead run. And it was just things like that. Inches from another grand slam, then they hit a 3-run homer that goes over the fence by an inch. It's baseball. Just everything went their way. But it was a really good series to watch. NC State's really good.
So we will play, you said Duke on Wednesday, Miami on Friday. Win those 2 games, and then you get to play Notre Dame in the semifinals. And then obviously the winner of, assuming Notre Dame wins their pod, you play the winner of Notre Dame's pod number 1, and then the final would be on Sunday at noon. So we will see. It's going to be tough, but you got to go 2-0 really to have a chance. So the only way to get out of the pod is to beat both teams for Florida State now. So I wanted to look. I already got rid of the picture, but Miami is the 4 seed, right? So they're not like leagues better than Florida State or anything like that, and then Duke's a lower seed. So how are you feeling about both games?
I feel good about the Duke game. I'm just not sure who's going to throw against Miami, because Parker Messick, who's been the ace all year, hurt his back the other week, and now he's been throwing on Sundays, which changes his bullpen day. In his last 2 starts, he hasn't looked as good as he normally does. And I mean, pitchers are creatures of habit. I mean, if you change a pitcher's schedule and now he throws on Sunday, you can just see he throws completely different. So I don't know who will throw against Miami. I don't know.
Could he, since it's, or like, what is normal rest? Or does he need like the full week?
He usually throws every Friday, but his schedule got messed up. So now he threw on Sunday. We won on Sunday. He didn't throw very well, though. They scored 11 runs. I just don't know what the rotation is going to be. There's no telling. I don't know if they'll throw in the first game or the second game, but we did outscore Miami earlier in the season, like 52-3 in 3 games. So hopefully that same result happens on Friday.
We'll take it. If you need an in with the baseball team and you need somebody to ask about what the rotation may look like, I know a guy. I can maybe hook you up with a guy on the baseball staff.
I'm going to ask.
So, all right, cool. Well, hopefully we've got you back on here Sunday for a good update. Actually, hopefully we don't. We'll just get Mike on if they end up winning. So you'll lose your spot next Sunday, but I think we'll all be happy for it. So latest projection, we were talking about it before we went on, is Florida State going to Gainesville. I don't really know that anything this weekend would impact that because, it's not like we're going to all of a sudden become a national seed, right? So I think that it's probably Gainesville or bust, but it'd be nice to have an ACC championship to go along with this season. So we'll see how they do. So, all right, I think that's all we need you for, Harlan. Get out of here. We've had enough. Nice hat, though.
Yeah, and Florida State's been so good on the road, but going to Gainesville does scare me a little bit because I believe the NCAA said this week attendance capacity will be up to the home sites, and UF's going to be 100% capacity. So Florida State's been great on the road all year, but they've not been to a stadium with 10,000 fans that are just all in at the game. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Are you going to meet me and Harlan there? Are you going to go to the games?
No, absolutely not.
You go to a women's tennis match, but you won't go see me and Harlan in baseball?
I'll go to Omaha if we get out there.
Dude, I looked at going to Omaha the last time they were there. First of all, it's Father's Day. It's always Father's Day weekend, right? Is the first weekend of Omaha. So that's terrible. Like I couldn't. There was no way that was happening. Second, there's no convenient way to get to Omaha.
No.
Like there's no I can take points here. I want to go one day, but oh my gosh, what a nightmare. And then if you don't go the first weekend, there's no guarantee your team's still there. And so then you're hoping that they make it past that first weekend, but then you're taking off work and you're booking a flight late, and there's just no good weekend to get out there.
No.
Your team makes the World Series, then you're kind of like really last minute doing it. So, or the final series. So I'd like to go too, but I just don't. I don't know. I'm gonna need. Hunter says a 2-week commitment. I ain't going for 2 weeks.
Essentially,
bro. I'll come home and won't have a house left, bro. Like, there's no way. No, I was gonna say, I go take a 2-week vacation in June. So with both these kids home. So anyway, yeah, what a nightmare. But we'll see. I guess it's a good problem to have if your team goes. So, all right. Anything else before we get out of here? Any shout outs? Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to talk about?
I don't think so. Shout out to, for the past, I feel like the last 2-3 weeks, we've just had people working on different parts of the house. Everything's almost finally finished where we won't have people at our house every single weeknight till, 8:30, 9 o'clock. So that's been a nice relief. Shout out the Bucks. I was actually in your neck of the woods yesterday, TJ, at Raymond James.
Didn't call.
Yeah.
Didn't say hi.
You're not a season ticket holder for the Bucks, and they had a ticket holder exclusive event, which was really nice. Really all that they were doing was trying to get people to pony up and join the Hyundai Genesis Club, which we did not do. And then they had the shop open where they were selling stuff for a lot of money. But we got a picture with the Lombardi Trophy, which was pretty cool. Shout out to my buddy Roch and his girl Taylor. We met up with them for lunch at, I forget what the place was called, but it was a good time. Good busy weekend.
Met up with him, but not me. Wow. The guy.
Good busy weekend.
Where'd you guys go? Where was there? What you guys have?
All right. You tell me what you're up to, and I'll tell you where we're at because it's probably in my Google Maps here on recent places I've been to.
Yeah, no, I'm the suspense is killing me. I don't know that I have any shout outs or anything, but yeah, shout out the website again, doublefriesnoslaw.com. Go check it out. Shout out to everybody that's writing on there. Dustin, Mike, Ed, Harlan and Richie.
So we were at the
That's some good
social
stuff,
house on Fern in Florida.
Oh yeah, great spot.
Yeah. Pretty good
So-
wings, pretty good beer selection. I tried to get bacon and beer, but they were all out, so I had to get something else.
That's like 20 minutes for me, and you didn't even say like, "Hey, come to hang out." I could. What time were you guys there?
I don't know, like 12:30. We watched the first period of the Lightning game there.
I was gonna say, I hope it was right around the time that Miami was losing, because I know that Miami lost, but that game was late.
Well, he's
like
a big Lightning fan though, so he's a Lightning fan, not a Panthers fan. So
no, the Heat. Roger's the Heat guy, right?
oh yeah, he's a Heat guy too.
Yeah, nah, that's yeah, we can be friends on Lightning, but I was hoping he would have to watch the Heat lose. So anyway, all right, cool.
That's it. Yeah.
Other than that, I have no shout outs. I have nothing. Do you have a song for us this week, Richie? Am I doing this? Who's doing it this week?
I'll give it to you this time.
All right, I don't know what it is, but I'll text Harlan and we'll figure it out. So thank you guys for hanging out. Double Fries No Slaw on all social medias. If you can go follow us, like this, share it, retweet it, we would appreciate it. We will be back next week for another episode. Maybe before then, we'll see. But definitely by next Sunday, we'll be back with another episode, and we will talk to you guys then. Thanks.